Oh! He front kicked him in the face! Absolutely wrestling a finish! It is all over! Kick to the face! Anderson Silva remains the middleweight champion!
Anderson Silva is a former UFC middleweight champion who has the longest title reign in UFC. He became champion in 2006 and defended his title 10 times in a row until 2013, where he lost the belt to Chris Weidman. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Taekwondo and has background in Muay Thai. He has a MMA record of 34 wins and 11 losses, which 23 of the wins came by knockout and 3 by submission. He has the most finishes in UFC title fights, and in this video we'll show you all his finishes during his career. Silva fought Raimundo Pinheiro for his MMA debut at BFC, which is a Brazilian MMA organization, in June of 1997, and was able to submit him via rear naked choke in the second minute of the fight. Anderson's next fight was on the same night against Fabricio Camus. Anderson was able to dominate him on the feet and on the ground, and in the 26th minute of the fight, the referee stopped the fight because Silva's opponent didn't get up and he won the fight by technical knockout. Silva's next finish was against Jose Barreto. Silva dominated Jose for the entire time, and in the second minute of round 1, he connected with a high kick which dropped Jose and ended the fight. Silva's next finish was against Claudio Fontanelle. Anderson was the superior fighter both on the feet and on the ground. In the second minute of the fight, Silva took his opponent down and had him inside control while connecting with knees. In the 5th minute of round 1, he connected with a powerful knee to the head while having his opponent in a tight clinch, which ended the fight, and Silva won his 5th fight by knockout. Silva's next finish was against Israel Albuquerque. Silva was the better fighter, and in the 7th minute of the fight, he took Israel down, mounted him, and ground and pounded him until he gave up his back, and Silva stayed on his back while connecting with more punches until he tapped, and Silva won via technical knockout. Anderson fought Ron Carneiro next. In the 5th minute of the fight, Carneiro took Anderson down and stayed in his guard while trying to score with punches, but Anderson used his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience and reversed the position and came on top. Silva kept punching Carneiro while mounting him, which made the referee to stop the fight, and Anderson won via technical knockout. Anderson fought Alex Stippling next in Pride FC. This was a quick fight which lasted less than 2 minutes. During the whole fight, Anderson was connecting, and in the 2nd minute he landed a powerful high kick which opened up a huge gash on Alex's eyebrow, which made the referee to stop the fight. Anderson finished Carlos Newton next. Carlos is an excellent grappler and submissioner, and in this fight he tested Anderson's ground game. He took Anderson down and mounted him and connected with lots of punches on the ground, but Anderson was able to neutralize the position and get him back to his guard, which after a minute of inactivity, the ref stood them up. As soon as they stood up, Carlos went to take Anderson down again, but Anderson read him and threw a flying knee, which connected on the chin of Carlos, knocked him out, and ended the fight. Anderson fought Jorge Rivera next in Cage Rage organization. Both men were excellent Muay Thai fighters and the whole fight spent standing. Anderson was the better fighter in this matchup, and in the 4th minute of round 2, he connected with a lot of knees to the head of Jorge, which made him to go on the ground covering up, so the referee stopped the fight and Anderson won by technical knockout. 8 months later, Silva fought Curtis Stout. The majority of the fight was spent on the ground while Anderson was on top. In the 5th minute of round 1, Anderson connected with barrage of punches while being on top, which knocked Curtis out and ended the fight. Silva's next finish was against Tony Franklin. Anderson made short work of Tony. In the 2nd minute of round 1, he landed a flying knee followed by a back elbow which connected to the head and ended the fight. Anderson fought in UFC next. His UFC debut was also his fastest knockout in his career. His opponent was Chris Label, which at the time the two fought, he held an impressive record of 15-1, which he had finished 11 of his 15 wins. In the 45th second of the fight, Anderson connected with a high kick followed by a barrage of punches which stunned Chris and made him drop. Anderson went to finish him, but Chris get back to his feet to only eat another knee to the head, which this time knocked him out, and Anderson won his first UFC fight by an impressive knockout. Anderson's next fight was against Rich Franklin for UFC middleweight championship belt. Rich held a record of 22-1, which he had finished 21 of his wins, and Anderson held a record of 16-4, which he had finished 13 of them. The fight started slow until the 3rd minute of round 1, when Anderson held Rich in a Muay Thai clinch while landing a lot of knees to the body. Rich had to bring his hands down to protect his body, which made his head exposed, and Anderson connected with a powerful knee to the head, which dropped Franklin and ended the fight. Now Anderson was the new UFC middleweight champion. For his first title defense, Anderson fought Travis Lauder. Travis is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and tested Anderson's ground game in this fight. In the first round, Travis took Anderson down and was on top for the majority of the round. He passed Anderson's guard, mounted him, and started landing punches until Silva pushed him off when he was trying to get an armbar. Right at the beginning of round 2, Travis again took Anderson down and was in his guard until Anderson attempted a triangle choke from the guard, which put Travis in a tight situation. Travis used his experience to not get choked, but Anderson was able to trap his arm and land a lot of elbows to the head, which made Travis tap, and Silva won his first title defense by submission. For his next title defense, Anderson fought Nate Marquardt. Nate is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and excellent on the ground. Right at the beginning of round 1, Nate took Anderson down and stayed on top for a couple minutes until the referee stood them up for inactivity. In the 5th minute of round 1, Anderson connected with a straight left, which made Nate to go for a single leg takedown. But Anderson was able to flip him and take him down and connect with few accurate punches, which stunned Nate, and the referee stopped the fight and Anderson won via technical knockout. Anderson and Rich Franklin fought the second time for the middleweight championship belt. In round 1, both men were landing while Anderson was connecting more. At the end of round 1, Anderson connected with a heavy right hook which stunned Rich, but the round was finished before Anderson could end the job. Right at the start of round 2, Silva kept the pressure on Rich, and in the first minute, he landed a knee to the head while having Rich in a clinch. He kept the pressure on him until the referee stopped the fight, and Anderson won his third title defense by technical knockout. Silva fought Dan Henderson next. Henderson is an Olympic level wrestler with a lot of power in his hands. At the time the two fought, he held a record of 22-6, which 10 of the wins came by knockout. In round 1, Dan was the better fighter and took Anderson down. He kept Silva in half guard while connecting with punches to the head. In round 2, things went the opposite way. Anderson connected with 2 knees to the head, which stunned Dan and made him to go on the ground. Anderson kept the pressure on him while being on top, and in the 5th minute of the round, he submitted Henderson by a rear naked choke and ended the fight. After clearing out the middleweight division, Silva went to light heavyweight to try his chance there. He fought James Irvin first and was able to finish him early in the fight. In the first minute of round 1, James threw a kick which Anderson caught the leg and countered with a right straight, which connected on the chin and dropped James and ended the fight. Anderson's next finish was against Forrest Griffin in the light heavyweight division. In the 3rd minute of round 1, Anderson showed his stand-up skill and tagged Griffin, but he recovered and stood up to be stunned again just a few seconds later, which this time he didn't get up and Silva won the fight via knockout. For his next title defense, Anderson fought Chael Sonnen at 185 pounds. Chael is an Olympic level and Division I All-American wrestler and had a lot of experience in the octagon. This was a hard one for Anderson. Chael had come prepared and was ready to take the belt. He dominated Silva for the entire fight. Chael kept taking Silva down and connected with a lot of shots while being on top for 5 rounds. Silva knew if it went to the judges, Chael would win the fight. In the 4th minute of round 5, Chael was on top while being in Silva's guard, landing shots when Silva tried the triangle choke and then transitioned to a triangle armbar, which made Chael to tap and ended the fight. Silva's 8th title defense was against Vitor Belfort, who was a former UFC light heavyweight champion and a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu himself. The fight started slow as the two fighters were just feeling each other's out until in the 4th minute of round 1, Silva landed a powerful front kick to the chin of Vitor, which knocked him out and ended the fight. Silva fought Yushin Okami next. Yushin held a record of 27-5, which 12 of the wins came by knockout. In the 3rd minute of round 2, Silva connected with a right hook and dropped Yushin on the ground. He kept punching him until the referee stopped the fight and the Spider-Man won his 9th title defense via technical knockout. Silva and Chael Sonnen fought for the 2nd time. Right at the start of the fight, Chael took Anderson down and was on top for the entire time of round 1. But in the 2nd round, Chael missed his spinning back fist and slipped and went on the ground, which made Anderson to throw a knee to the body of Chael that had him in pain. Anderson kept the pressure on him until the referee stopped the fight and Silva won his 10th title defense via technical knockout. Anderson went to light heavyweight again to assert dominance and eventually fight for the title. He fought Stephen Bonner next. Stephen is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Golden Gloves boxing champion. The fight didn't last long. In the 5th minute of round 1, Anderson connected with a powerful knee to the solar plexus, which made Stephen to go on the ground, and Silva kept the pressure and the referee stopped the fight. This was Anderson's last finish in the octagon. His highlights always be remembered by MMA fans all around the world.